Salutations, welcome back. We are here to just talk about just the progress that I made with my little kind of Ratchet Clank UI UX little project. First things first, you can probably tell that the logo is slightly different. So the kind of base logo is kind of obviously heavily inspired by Rift Apart's logo. But if you kind of look a bit closer, I can't zoom in. But what I will do as well, I'll probably like edit in post. I'll probably like kind of show like a difference between the two, like a side-by-side comparison. Because I originally, when I was first making this project, like way back, like I think late last year, I was going to stick with Ratchet Clank 2002 logo, that kind of style. But I think whether I was redesigning the logo or something, probably to do with this or something similar that I've probably got in the works, which I'm not going to say right now. I was just really tired, and I was looking at the 2002 logo, and I was like, I can't read this. I know what it says, but I can't read it. And I was so tired, and I was looking at the Rift Apart logo, and I was like, I know what this says. And then it hit me. I was like, I know why they redesigned it. Obviously, I knew it like already, but I understand why they redesigned it. But enough about that. Yeah, so what I opted to do, at the same time as well, like, I find the Rift Apart logo a bit too plain. I understand why they've done it, but at the same time, it's bland. So I opted to kind of go kind of midway and kind of give the kind of gritty kind of metal look. And obviously you got all the rivets and stuff in the logo itself. But also kind of make, like make the logos pop as well, like add that kind of nice kind of gradient to it as well, to the colors. And I landed on this and I'm very happy with it. And we have actually got a new intro as well. Okay, so here we are. The last time I shown, I think these borders weren't here. This is like a new addition. Nothing's like has really changed here, but like if I hover over a logo, it kind of glows a little bit just to kind of indicate that it's been selected, kind of thing. And again, I don't think it's really changed here either. Again, I don't think this was in here either that time I showed. But again, if you go in, nothing's really new here. But if we go into here, actually got stuff here. Okay, so when I started creating this project, the PC version of Rift Apart didn't exist, so it still remained a PS5 exclusive. But then it was in my mind to be like, hey, ironically, like the UI that I'm about to show you is more so designed with a PC in mind. Like, for example, if I hooked up like a controller right now, you wouldn't be able to control the UI or the UX at all. That's like a completely different worm. Kind of open literal worms I will discuss in a little bit, but like for now, I'll just show you what we like got at the moment. So what I opted to do is kind of take like inspiration from Rift Apart's kind of UI. Like for example, when you go into a menu and you got kind of like headers on top of here, but also kind of stay true to the original Ratchet Clank 2 with the menu. So again, a lot of the menu stuff is in this kind of nice, cool kind of blue, or I like to call it like electric blue. And it kind of like going back and playing the original Ratchet Clank games and scrolling through the menus, I realized again, I was like, hey, this is kind of a pain to go to different places. Whereas obviously the later kind of UI stuff, like I think it started in the PS3 games where they streamlined things a lot to make it a lot more simpler for just players just to get to point A to point B. I'm not going to drone on too much about it, but again, like for example with the map screen, it would just only display the map. You'd have to go into a different section to display the planet or whatever, or the missions on the side, or the collectibles. And I just wanted to kind of condense it down. So for example, if we go into the weapons section, if you wanted to learn about the weapon, you'd have to go to the help section to learn about the weapon or how to use it or how it's used. Whereas again, I'm taking the ripped apart approach and having the description of the weapon when you choose it. As you can see right now, you can't select anything at the moment, and I'm gonna leave it that way for now, because again, it's more of a, I'm gonna try and keep to my words kind of loosely, and it is still a concept. I don't want it to be like a properly fully functioning kind of UI UX thing, at least not right now. What I would love to do is I would love to obviously design Ratchet Clank 1 and Ratchet Clank 3's UI and UX first, and then we'll probably go in and we'll make it interactable as we go. Same thing over here, the same with the gadgets. Like if you look at the original Ratchet Clank 2, you cannot like, it doesn't have like a description on the side of it when you select something, but again, you click around and there's nothing there. And this is something I added, which I really love about Rift Apart, and I love this about Ratchet Clank Size Matters, which they didn't really bring back. So, like, I think in other Ratchet Clank games you can select the armor, but you can't really have any kind of control over it so much. And I think, I'm pretty sure Into the Nexus had like a you could go back in and kind of select weak armor, but it didn't really have any kind of purpose. But what I love about Rift Apart's armor system is that it doesn't hinder you if you mix and match like a weak armor or whatever, because it's just more of a stylistic thing. But if you collect sets, then obviously it strengthens it. So right now the flavor text is the same, like it's literally the same from the original game. This is what it looks like. But I'd love to have like a similar system in place as well. So this is my little sketch of Ratchet. He's like a little placeholder sketch at the moment, but what I'd love to do is, for example, if I were to go in and customize this more, I'd go in and I'd click this or click that, and it would actually appear on him in like real time, and just to see what it looks like. Again, it's essentially what Rift Apart does, and just kind of see, you know, kind of mix and match your own kind of like costume thing as well. And I was debating putting in the grind boots and the magnet boots and the hover boots as well. But again, like in the original game, it existed in the gadgets, and I wanted to keep it kind of true. And is it really armor? Again, like maybe in the future I might switch it, so at least the feet, kind of the shoes are in the section too. But for right now, I'm just leaving it in the gadgets just because it's kind of like more, that's what it was in the original game. But again, now that I'm talking about it out loud, I might actually move it to the armor section, because then obviously the shoes are a part of the armor, isn't it? It's like clothing. You might as well, it's just the clothing section, isn't it? And with the items, technically the items are kind of similar. Obviously, if you know the original layout, you know that it looks kind of different to this. But yeah, essentially all this is essentially in the items anyway, so even if you hover over something in the items, it will tell you the descriptions of what that item does. And then in the extras, we've got, again, I tried to condense it all into one little kind of neat little package where you don't have to scroll through different menus like constantly. So for example, in here, you click on these and obviously it'll switch to different ones. Like if I click on it now, nothing will happen. So the first one here with the key icon, that would be the cheats and what cheat you have active or not active. Essentially what the gold bolts do in the Ratchet Clank games now. Well, at least in Rift Apart it does that, and I think in the PS4 version of Ratchet Clank it did that. But obviously, if I wanted to keep it faithful, it's just you do this, and you got to do a certain task. For example, if I were to, you know, if I had control over, you know, the skill points and what it does or whatever, in the original games you had to figure them out. And I think with all three of them, I always instantly just went up online and just kind of just did it, because it's like how with most of the skill points, apart from like the hint text, it's like how would you figure it out? And I think even like later on, I think starting at, I think the first PS3 one, they just was like, okay, just do this or just do that, because I think a lot of the times it was just way too obscure. So I think if I did change it, I'd just have the like what you have to do, because some of them are kind of hard and you've got to figure out what you got to do as well. Again, in hindsight, you know what, I'm talking about, I'm blabbing on now. So the third one would be the skins. So I think in Ratchet Clank 2 there are a total of free. Not that many, but you know what? You could probably add more. This one would be the movies or the cinematics, and this one would be the scrapbook. But I guess in Ratchet Clank 2's case, the scrapbook and the movies are kind of one of the same kind of thing. And actually thinking about it now, I forgot a section, which was the etc. section, where there was like kind of pictures or like epilogue section, because I think in the first one as well, the first Ratchet Clank, there was like an epilogue section which it kind of showed the events of what happened after the game, and yeah, like random stuff and stuff like that, which is not in there, so I haven't really thought about that. So for example, again, you can click onto any and you'll go straight to it, or you can click on here as well and you can shift through them. So in Rift Apart, I'm pretty sure it's L2 and R2, or it's L1 or L2, or to kind of scroll through these. And for example, with the extras, with the buttons, it would be L2 or R2, or L1 or L2. I forgot which one it is. I'm pretty sure it's the triggers for this, like the back triggers, and then it's the front triggers for the top here. But again, right now, I'm just it kind of worked in my favor that, again, this is more built for like a PC interface, because now obviously Rift Apart is now a part of PC. But yeah, I think that's it at the moment. For example, if I go into Ratchet Clank 3, and there's still nothing here just yet. But yeah, that's just the showcase of what I got so far. It took me how long? I think, what was the last one that I did? It's quite a while ago. But yeah, so the next time I do this, it will either be Ratchet Clank 1 or Ratchet Clank 3, and we'll literally, again, do the same thing that we've done in Ratchet Clank 2, but obviously I want it to kind of feature its own kind of theming. So with Ratchet Clank 3's, it was kind of more of a kind of RNG, burgundy theme. And with Ratchet Clank 1, it was like a kind of CRT, kind of like TV, kind of like monitor kind of thing. I can't explain it, but it was pretty iconic in its own little right. But I think, ironically, out of the two, I think Ratchet Clank 1's might be harder because of how kind of unique it is, and how, like, at least with Ratchet Clank 2 and 3, it's similar in its style and its design, whereas Ratchet Clank 1 is kind of like the black sheep of the franchise. So actually, I think I'll probably might start with Ratchet Clank 3, and then we'll go back to Ratchet Clank 1 and see if I can try and, because again, I think what I said at the start is I wanted to kind of unify them and make them feel like the same game, or the same kind of menus, because it's the same case of like the Spyro or the Crash Bandicoot trilogies, where the menus all are the same. They look different, but they all function the same, because it would be a bit weird if all the menus function differently, and it would confuse players. So essentially, with the armor tab as well, that would be in Ratchet Clank 1, even though you didn't get armor in Ratchet Clank 1, but we'll make it up as we go. You know what? Like, we could probably even reference the armor in the PlayStation 4 version of Ratchet Clank, and maybe just have that kind of the Galactic Ranger armor in there, because you get, obviously, you just default Ratchet at the start, and then you've got like one in the middle of the game and you get one at the end of the game. So probably just do it for like that. But other than that, I think that is it. So I just thought I'd just kind of show it off. And like I said, once I go and I complete Ratchet Clank 1s and 3s, then I might actually go back and make all this interactable, or you can go into here, and all these have got like kind of like descriptions and stuff, but for right now, this is what I got. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.